standard. It sounds like you are veering towards something closer to the Norway option as a compromise between the 48 and the 52 in the single market. Yeah?
Right. My issue with the EU has always been the lack of sovereignty, the lack of democracy. Yeah. Of course, there are economic issues as well. It wouldn't be exactly Norway, obviously. We're a very different country. We're 65 million rather than 5 million. But the idea of staying within a common market but outside the political integration, I think that is feasible, yes.
And that means free movement of people.
It means free movement of labour. It doesn't mean EU citizenship with all the acquired rights.
I'm sorry, we've just been through 3 months of agony on the issue of immigration, and the public have been led to believe that what they have voted for is an end to free movement.
Here is a very, very important point. From the moment we joined, we had the right to take up a job offer in another member state. You had a legal entitlement if you presented your contract. Now, that changed with Maastricht. When EU citizenship was introduced, people were given legal entitlements to live in other countries, to vote in other countries, and to claim welfare and have the same university tuition and so on. That bit, I think, is going to change. That means that we can deport people.
Why didn't you say this in the campaign?
Listen, I said that at
why did you not
every
say in the
single
campaign that you were wanting a system, a scheme where we had free movement of labour? Come on, that is completely at odds with what the public think they have just voted for.
I have just spent 4 months addressing rallies virtually every day, and at every one I would say, do not imagine that if we leave the EU, that means zero immigration from the EU. It means we will have some control over who comes in and in what numbers.
You've given the impression...
Before I do, Dan Hannan, I said I'd
You know why we are not falling for these ghost stories from the Remain campaign is because in the middle of all the fear and doubt, you suddenly get some utterly risible, implausible claims, such as we just had, that the Calais jungle will move to Kent. Right? Now, the idea that we would have migrant camps in Kent any more than we have them at Gatwick or Heathrow or any other point of entry is utterly absurd. All three speakers actually answered that question in very different ways, but they all gave the same answer. If we stay in the EU, we cannot control net inward migration into this country. The key word there is control. I think Nigel and I slightly differ in our view about immigration. I'm quite in favour of having a measure of legal primary immigration into this country, and I'm in favour of having a refugee element as well, probably a bit more than Nigel is. But if I'm going to make that argument, people need to know in exchange that we are in charge, roughly, of who comes in, and we are in charge, roughly, of what numbers. And as long as we're in the EU, we have no such sense.
You've given the impression... The words take back control.
It's all there, it's all there on YouTube. You can see it all. No one is talking. I mean, Nick trotted out all the cliches about drawbridges and throwing away keys. No one is talking about isolation. Right? No. That bit, I think, is going to change. That means that we can deport people.
Why didn't you say this in the campaign?
Listen, I said that at
why did you not
every
say in the
single
campaign that you were wanting a system, a scheme where we had free movement of labour?
Nowhere else in the world do countries apologise for wanting to live under their own laws. You know, New Zealand is not about to join Australia. And we don't go around saying, oh, these dreadful Australo-skeptics, when are they going to understand that they're a small offshore island clinging to outdated notions of sovereignty, right? Japan is not applying to join China, as far as I'm aware. And people don't say, oh, these bigoted Sino-skeptics, when are they going to get it through their heads that they've lost their empire? It is a natural, healthy thing for a democracy to live under its own laws while trading and cooperating with every other country in the world. We are the 5th largest economy on the planet. We're the 4th military power. We're one of 5 members of the UN Security Council. How much bigger do we have to be before we have the confidence to raise our eyes to more distant horizons and rediscover that global vocation which we once took for granted?
I think